Hello everybody, it's me Lemoni. Happy Tuesday. Sorry for no video Monday, but I think I'm going to start doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday releases. It's just more conducive to my schedule. Anyway, I hope all of you are well, happy, and healthy, and I'm glad to have you here. So let's get your week started off right. Today what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to show you a gold Garden of Genesis guide. Now, to preface this isn't PTR, this is live. There's a bunch of servers that still have Dynasty. Eden was one fortunate enough that we had Dynasty for maybe a day, and then we got rolled over to Garden of Genesis. So I've been able to run it a lot, and I have the most effective route to speedrun this so that you can push high tier keys fast and just kind of grind up to the high tier keys. So before we get started and I give you all the polls, please, if you want to connect with me, feel free to leave a comment on the video, DM me on Discord, join the Discord. Follow us on Twitch. We stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:30-ish a.m. Central Time for about 5 hours. But today is Tuesday, and I'll be streaming Lost Ark release, and I'll be streaming for a while, so stop in there today if you're interested. Otherwise, Twitter, TikTok, all that jazz. But I would appreciate it if you did that weird YouTube stuff like comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your grandma, your grandpa, everybody you know. Anyway, if you want to support me directly as well, you can hit us up on Patreon. That's also linked below. But this expedition guide, I think Garden of Genesis is probably the easiest mutator out there, given doing these polls in comparison to Dynasty and even Laz. I think Laz is pretty, it's pretty tough, but once you get past Cilia, you're in a solid spot. But I think Genesis is just overall pretty chill. The trash packs are the most difficult part, but I'm going to show you everything you can do to skip this and not complete the mob count, but you're still going to get golds and you're still going to do this in time. So let's get into it. All right, so you may have just been watching me run around in circles and all of a sudden the doors open. This is the most important first pull. Our tank runs down there. I'm going to typically suggest that you do your tank, but I'm going to show you how you do this pull. All right, so you're just going to walk down the stairs and hug hard left. This is a little bit of a tight squeeze, so you have to make sure there isn't a patrol coming on your right side and you just stay hard left. You will pull at least one person, and that's this one at the end of the bridge, but you will always get your mine off as long as you've pulled that first guy. It doesn't matter if you've been hit. It takes like 1.5 hits to actually get the blight, but you will typically pull the archer too. Not a big concern. We just don't want to pull that shaman looking guy in the hive. You'll take him, you'll run him back up the stairs, just run it in opposite in order, and then run through, LOS him through the door, and just kill that pack before you fight the boss. First boss fight's pretty standard. It's pretty much what you do the whole time. Just fight him until he staggers, hit him in his down phase. What I will say is as you get into higher mutators, there's a lot of beams and fire on the ground, so just be conscious of that. It's nice to be ranged on this fight. Otherwise, no real skips over here. All right, once you complete the first boss, it's pretty standard. You'll just go down, you'll go kill that hive, clear all the packs, and it's not much of a change. I think where you're going to see the most skip time is actually doing that first boss pull. So you'll just kill everything like normal until you get over to the tree. But on our way, you do all this stuff. I will say at this point where you have the first gold little boss guy and all these mobs, there are a lot of explosives. So just be conscious of that. There's a lot of fire slicers and all those little guys explode. So you'll see your team take a lot of damage here. I will say for the tree specifically, there's not necessarily a speed skip, but I can show you one little thing that you can do as a healer. I mean, I think as far as tips go for the tree, have a lot of CC. These guys do a lot of tree damage, but as long as you have hammer stuns and screams, you're good to go. You'll see my healer tip here where I just stand up on this rock. You get line of sighted when you're up there, so nobody can actually pull to you. The exception is if you get a silence zone up there, or if you get a big hammer guy to swing at you. But what I do as a healer, or if you're ranged, that you're not going to take a lot of aggro and they're not going to reset, jump up on that rock and you should have no issues and you'll take a lot less damage, making it just generally easier to heal, but also then you don't have to worry about one person at least. I wouldn't say put the whole team up there because it can bug some people out, but as far as tree goes, CC is king. Get them away from the tree, interrupt them with the CC if they start to swing at it, and as a healer, stand up on that nice, beautiful rock, and you should be good to go until the next set of pulls. All right, so once you finish the tree, it's again fairly standard. You'll jump down, clear everything that you can find. You'll encounter one more big boss guy. What I will say is about all of the trash packs and the gold elite mobs, I think these are the hardest things in the actual expedition. It's the fact that they drop the fire and the slicers in melee and they absolutely destroy people. If you want to take the risk, have your healer or range shoot it first so it drops the fire in range so that the melee don't really have to deal with it. That's where I see the most damage get taken. but otherwise this is just going to be fairly standard for Genesis. I still wanted to show it just in case you haven't run Genesis yet. You'll see I do die here because I'm dumb, but those void zones that drop do absolutely no damage. So be conscious of that as you get to higher tier mutators. You don't have to worry as much with those mechanics. But for this next boss, what I will say is strategically, it's going to be the same as what you'd see in a general Genesis. What we do is we were going 4-1. If you don't know what that is, it is you leave everybody on the outside of the ring when he drops it, except for the tank, and the tank does something to stamina break him, so that he doesn't do a one-shot mechanic and he kills the mushroom in there. Your healer can heal the tank on the inside, but it is much more effective to keep your DPS on the outside so that you can get everything down. You will see that this run gets a little bit messy, but we do recover it. In general, ads are the priority here, but the boss, if you have the damage, feel free to do it all in and just one phase him. We do that on the lower mutators, and once you're at 625 gear score, that's definitely doable. But in general, try to do 4-1, and then on the last circle that he has, so once you're all in there, just all in it, and then spend all of your DPS, spend all your cooldowns, and just blow them up. It is a fairly simple fight. 4-1 and then all in is my suggestion, but if you can, just all in the fight. All right, so you finished the second boss. I will say here is a important time save if you can. If you are on a high mutator, this is not going to be feasible. But so once you purify the flame at the altar, you will be able to get through the green mossy stuff. And on the other side of that, there is a gold elite mob. Now, what we did was we safe pulled it and we only pulled one at a time. But if you feel like you have the gear, the skill, the damage, you can pull the second gold mob from the middle of the old boss room that you just fought in and fight them both at the exact same time. What I will say is there's a lot of mobs already in here. There's a hive in there, and there's a lot of fire and slicers that will come out if you have both of the golden people. So if you want a time save, feel free to pull both. But if you don't want to run that risk, and you will probably wipe because these guys do a lot of damage, don't bother doing it. But for future speed running, that is definitely going to be a solid strategy. All right, so once you've completed that little room and you're back in the old boss room, we then fight that gold mob I was just talking about. But here's where you have one of the most important time saves. You have somebody grab your torch so that you can start to get through the leaves. While the four of you are fighting this boss, have him go run over and burn the double door that's there. All right, so you will clear this and you'll all just run straight to there. The important thing to mention about Genesis is in order to get a gold, you don't actually have to complete the mob count. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, there's also a gold mob. If you go past this and you burn the other door through the hallway where you just previously came from, that gold mob is not needed. There are 9 total gold mobs in there and you only need 8 to get the modifier for Gen. So what do you do at this phase? In the torch section, skip the bonus room with the 1 mob and 1 additional mob that isn't gold in there. It is not worth it. You do not need that mob even for the mob count at the end for a full clear, because there's other ways you can do it. It is just a waste of time. There's too much stuff you have to kill. It's going to burn a couple minutes, and you do not need to kill that gold guy. Now, this will transition then into just clear this next room, but you do not have to clear the whole bottom. You're going to hug hard right, similar to how we did it before, but then just mass pull all the way up to the top. You'll see BDLG's a little bad, and he gets knocked off, but it doesn't matter. Typically, you shouldn't pull the hive, but even if you do, as long as you pull everything up there, they won't keep spawning more. Just play at the top, hold everything up there, AoE clear it, and your torch boy has to stay alive with the torch. So make sure that he's in a solid spot, make sure his health is up. I do believe we ended up dropping it here just because BDLG did fall. So Louis dropped the torch, he'll go and pick it up after. But typically right here, you won't have enough that you'll have to worry about it, and your torch boy will be just sitting there and ready to burn the next wall. But the big thing is skip the extra bonus room and transition into a mass pull up on the top and AoE clear it. Once you've killed everything, and we take a little bit of time here because then Louis starts to run back and grab the torch, but what you'll need to do is skip even more stuff, and I'm going to show you how we do that. So instead of running underneath, you stay up top and you just hug hard right by this big tree. Your torch guy will come, and the big thing is that you don't get stuck behind those 2 rocks that you land on. If you do, you can't get out most of the time, and you'll have to just unstuck. Once you get there, pull just the people in the water, not the boss yet. You have to wait to do the boss. You don't want to pull them all at once. There's just no point. So you'll pull all that little trash, blow them up. Your torch boy will just be sitting there. I think Louis still going and grabbing the torch right now. But once you've cleared everything and you're on the boss, it is imperative that the torch guy goes ahead and pre-burns everything else. All right, so you see we pull the boss and you'll see Louis sitting there with the torch. He waits for a clear opportunity and then he's going to move in and go and burn that first wall. Once you burn the first wall, you're not done. You have to run it all the way to the end and put the torch in the altar. Make sure that your DPS does this, and then right after, they can come back and do some DPS to this guy. He does hit pretty hard. He drops a lot of AoE. The slicers are annoying. The fire's annoying. So just be careful with it and take your time. All right, so you killed him. You're now running down the hallway. Big thing is we just jump over that little banister thing right there, and you only want to pull one of these guys at a time. One, the archer guy does a ton of damage between his volley and his pen arrow, so it's just not worth. And then with the fire, the slicers, the everything going on, we found it best just to do this route where we go to the right, then clear the middle, and then we shift over to the left guy. If you pull them both together, this is a time saver, but I think you almost might waste more time if you can't really pull them together because of how long it's going to take you, because you're just going to be pummeled by everything. So I still think it's best to do the one and then one. I think double pulling is only viable if you're like max geared and you can just absolutely blow them up with your high DPS and you have a ton of survivability. Last boss is going to be pretty standard to what you'd normally see. It's all the same mechanics. So if you're familiar with Gen, you're good to go. I'm assuming if you're watching this kind of guide, you have been in here a couple times. I'll just take this time to give you my final thoughts on Genesis Mutator. I think Genesis is probably the easiest Mutator that we've seen. As far as the trash packs are not super crazy, I will say I think Laz is harder because of Cilia, and I think the trash does a lot more. In Genesis, the bosses are chill. The trash is, it's difficult, but it's not too difficult. It feels like it's in a really good spot. It's also worth in terms of gear. It's not like Dynasty where we're not getting anything out of it. I know that this is a 28-minute clear-ish. We'll probably hit the 30-ish minute mark. But what I will say is it's a 6. We're all super under geared. And if we didn't do some of these time savers, we wouldn't have made time, probably. When we're running anything below that, we're running these in 20 minutes to sub 20 minutes, right? I think at this point I'm at like 6:09. I'm live right now. I'm like 6:15 because we started actually running mutators and doing these more challenging ones. But for actually getting the 1 to 10 clearing process, you're going to be needing to do stuff like this so that you can just efficiently and do it fast and get up to those higher ones so that you can clear everything in the future. As always, I'm going to be making more guides specifically on mutators and how to speed clear these. So I hope you really enjoyed this. As always, if you want to do that weird YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. Let me know how you feel about it. Give me any tips that you had, and I'm receptive to feedback. Let me know how you feel about this kind of format. Anyway, follow our socials. We'll be streaming live today on Twitch, but generally it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, join the Discord. We announced our server for Lost Ark. We're going to be going to Regulus. If you have any questions for me, hit me up in some kind of way. If you want to support me directly, feel free to hit up my Patreon. What do I do on Patreon? I do early content releases, extra game footage, all kinds of stuff, and it's just another line of communication with me. So, as always, thank you to every single one of my patrons. So thank you to Jacob Thugia, Shane Gill, Anarito, Adjuro, Nathaniel Thonar, Joseph, Generic Guy, Ralph, Bob, Florian, Blue Beagle, GDB, Jay Kitchens, Dexter, Rich, Josh, Michelle, Nate, Rich, and Someone X. Thank you. And 247 Managed Network Solutions. Thank you all for your support, but thank you to every single one of you just for watching this video. I appreciate you. I look forward to connecting with you. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you all for being you.